Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Jonathan Scatia again, coming to you pre-recorded because I'm at the beach right now and hopefully having a very wonderful time. So I'm just going to be talking through the QI content this week. Though, as I'll mention at the end, you guys are still welcome to reach out to me at any time. I'm still monitoring my communications and emails to make sure that if you have any emergent needs, we're able to address them. So I just want to start with this particular slide, which I'm thinking David may have already covered, but I just really, really love this because these are very, different ways of communicating the same concept. We see an alligator there, we see a cow there, and I love this because this grabs attention. This is an interesting way of really communicating similar ideas. And when we think through how we try to communicate changes in policies and procedures, oftentimes we do have to draw into that marketing and human factors insight. And I think that sometimes we don't do that. We don't do that enough in human and social services. We don't pull from the skills that art and humanities and the business world can offer us. So I just love this slide. So hopefully David did a good job of covering it. So let's talk about specific processes. And what I want to emphasize today is these process attributes. So every activity along the way basically should have these 5 characteristics, these 5 attributes. And these will certainly look familiar to those who maybe had to write a news story in the 6th grade. So there are these 5 attributes. First is who does it. So specifically, who is responsible within your organization for doing the specific set of behaviors? When should it be done? Does it happen on a regular frequency, or does it happen every time a specific trigger occurs? Where is it done? So what's the physical location within your facility where the activity takes place? Is it one place? Is it many different places? How is it done? So what are the micro steps along the way that describe what how the process should be implemented with quality? And finally, what is needed to do it? So is there anything that any resources, any capacities, any skills that are required to implement it well? So everything that you're going to be implementing, all of the specific activities can be broken down in this way. So I think I'm going to pause the video now and invite you all to just consider the example that David was talking about earlier with hand hygiene. So can we break down who does it, when should it be done, where is it done, how is it done, and what is needed to do it? So I'm going to pause and then come back, and we'll, or you all, will hopefully be able to share some of the ways that you've described this. Okay, so I hopefully paused there. So a good way to then assess the reliability of your process is this Ask 5 method. And again, we want to hone in on reliability because this will tell us whether or not the outcomes that we're getting can be causally linked to the process we're putting into place. So are we getting the same results every time because we're doing the same thing or the same set of things every time? So the way that we can test for reliability in somewhat of a casual way is this Ask 5 method. So consider 5 of your colleagues who are involved in a process. Can you ask 5 of them to describe what those attributes are? So do they know the who, what, where, when, and how different activities should be done? So don't think of this as a test. From some of the work that I've done in schools, we talk about a method called a one-legged interview, and what that is can you have a conversation while standing on one leg? So presumably you get tired. It's quick. It's casual. Can we gather this information about these attributes in a somewhat straightforward way? So can I go to Brenda and say, "Hey, Brenda, we're checking up on how our hand hygiene processes are working. Can you tell us, when it happens or how it happens? What do you do?" And that is a good way to gather that information. So if we can get 5 people to say it, that's pretty good. It's this is not the final word on your reliability, but there's probably a good chance that you can maintain that reliability and sustain it over time. However, if you can't get 5 people to describe a process, well, then we need to think about whether or not this is a common problem or an infrequent problem. So is this something that's going to happen a lot, or is this something that's quite rare? And depending on that, we can approach that quality improvement aspect in 2 different ways. So if it's a common problem, so if a lot of people don't know what's going on, let's not immediately jump to training. All right, let's get everyone together in a staff meeting and run through what does it take to have good hand hygiene. Let's not jump to that quite yet. Instead, try to get curious. And by curious, approach it as if you were a journalist or a researcher, and try and think backwards. All right, what might be driving this problem? So why could this be occurring? What are the determinants that are leading to this deviation? And we can focus then on the whys. And a lot of people might be familiar with a technique called the 5 whys. I guess 5 is our number of the day here. The 5 whys is a technique where we just go backwards and ask why something is occurring. So people are not washing their hands every time they leave a room. Well, why? Oh, well, the disinfectant is down the hall, and people might have to make a special trip to get that. Well, why? Oh, I guess because we didn't have enough in our budget to make stations at every room. Well, why? And we can keep going there. So when we're addressing these common problems, we then also want to fix one attribute at a time. So we're not going to jump to a huge overhaul. We're going to look at the specific attributes of our process, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and then decide, all right, which of these can we address to lead to an improvement? And the key is we want to keep it, instead of simple, let's say straightforward. Because sometimes things are not simple. We live in really complex worlds. So how can we make things as clear and direct as possible? Now, the flip side of that is, do we have an infrequent problem? So is it something that's quite rare? So in this case, we don't want to do a complete overhaul. We want to instead think about what could be the reasons why this one particular person deviated in this particular setting at this particular time. Sorry for overemphasizing that, but we want to determine which of the attributes was leading to the deviation. And this may be a good time for training and education if it's quite rare. Or alternately, we can sort of see whether or not that infrequent deviation was significant enough that we have to address it anyway. And that's a more advanced QI method called failure modes and effects analysis, where basically we look at how rare is something, and then how significant is it if that happens. So you can have something really rare but really bad, and then you still want to plan for that. But that's neither here nor now. So I just want to drop this in the chat before I transition back to my colleagues. This is my email and I guess my phone number. If people still want to call, I'll answer. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll continue to work through the implementation of these QI methods in coming sessions.